Hi everyone, I'm Cameron. I am one half of Ham Sandwich Quantum Party. My new album, The Alien Album, is out March 1st, and I want to show you how I get some of the sound on that album in just a second.
This is a tutorial on big sloppy vocals. It helps if you're a bad singer, and this will help you sound a little better.
So that's what I call a big sloppy vocal sound, and it's basically made out of three techniques. We have recording a bunch of takes of the same melody line, in this case 13 of them, and we pan those across the stereo range, and then I apply a series of reverb, equalizer, and compression, followed by another reverb to get that sound. So let's dive right in. I will now, I'll get rid of these so you see what the process looks like from almost the beginning. So let's say that you've got these takes that you've recorded and you don't know exactly what to do with them. Well, the easy way to do this in Reaper, let me show you what it sounds like first without any fancy stuff. Just a little bit of gain. Not very interesting, right? We'll leave that gain in place. And now I will take this, I'll right click it, go to take, explode all takes to new tracks. And now I've got 13 subtracks that I can use to create this sound with. The first thing I do is I take all of these, I scroll all the way down. I've got all these tracks selected, and in Reaper it's really easy to create buses just by dragging tracks underneath other tracks. So there I have a Vox bus, and I'm going to rename all these with the script that I wrote, because otherwise it's going to be hard to figure out which ones are which in the mixer. I have that script bound to the Command-Alt-I key for intelligent rename. Alright, I've got Vox 1 through 13 now so named. Now, if I was going to do the panning part of this all manually, which I used to do for a long time, I would take these, I would start twiddling these knobs, and I have to do that over and over again to get the right range of sound. Well, I've got a script now that gets me in the ballpark. So what that script does is it looks at the way the tracks are currently panned and either increases or decreases the panning. And I've got that script bound to Command-Alt-P and Command-Alt-O. So we'll set it all back to 0. Okay, and now we will show you what this looks like just with 13 tracks.
This is a tutorial on big sloppy vocals.
So that's okay. That's just with 13 takes. One of them was actually panned to the left because I had left it out. Oops. But if we start panning that with the script, you'll notice that we start to get... Nope, I got to select all of them. I think I had these ones panned almost all as far as I could.
This is a tutorial on big sloppy vocals.
That's sounding better already. My theory is that when you have so many things happening in the stereo field at once, the brain can't pick out as many of my mistakes that I made when I was singing it. So that's the bulk of the work. The next thing that I do, I add a little bit of reverb.
Tutorial on big.
And then I add some EQ and compression. I'll go through that in a second.
This is a tutorial on big sloppy vocals.
And finally add some more reverb on top because I like kind of a dark, big sound sometimes, especially for tracks where the slower tempo suits it, like in this one.
This is a tutorial on big sloppy vocals.
So the reverb is just simply, It's a little bit of guitar rig 5 reverb. You can use basically any reverb you want as long as it's got a low cut function. I find that that's really helpful for reducing the kind of darkness and the kind of bad artifacts that you'd get otherwise from having all those bass tones reverbed. I do a little bit of reverb before and a little bit of reverb after the compression, because I find that if I reverb before compression, even just a little bit, then in the space in between syllables, the reverb is automatically has some gain applied to it, essentially, and I like that sound. If you do this too much, let's say that I go, like 100% dry and like 90% wet, you'll get some really bad pumping.
This is a tutorial on big sloppy vocals. It helps if...
That's not too bad there, but it's more noticeable on faster tracks. So that's why I keep this first one at kind of a medium wetness, and then I add a little bit more later with about the same wetness. Now, as for the EQ and compression, I find on my voice that I need, and this will change for your voice, that I need to cut lows. I usually do that about 120 at a minimum. I do it at a higher level if I can get away with that when I have like a song with a very active bass line or a kick drum that I want really to shine. My voice is naturally kind of nasally, so I can use a big dip at about 500 hertz to help counteract that, and then there's a big lift in the high frequencies here at about 14 kilohertz. Then there's a little bit of sustain added. I don't really notice that too much. There's some saturation. There is some fairly steep compression. I usually use the soft knee on vocals. I find that gives a better result. And the de-esser. The de-esser is the most important part of this for me, because otherwise all those S noises and fuzz and puzz and whatever else I manage to get past the pop filter, those all get magnified when I have that many tracks going at once. So it's really important for me to have a de-esser there. And then finally I put a limiter on the very end of it with the stereo link disabled so that I can kind of make sure the volume is consistent between the left and the right ear. And I find that that gets the job done for me.
This is a tutorial on big sloppy vocals. It helps if you're a bad singer, and this will help you sound a little better.
And that's it for this tutorial. I've posted the scripts, a link to the scripts in the description of the video. This sample project will also be available via Box. Please post any questions or comments you have. I'd love to hear from you guys. Again, I'm Cameron. I'm one half of Ham Sandwich Quantum Party. New album out March 1st, centered around aliens. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you next time.
This is a tutorial on big sloppy vocals. It helps if you're a bad singer, and this will help you sound a little better.